One night, bursting with joy, I eagerly told my husband the news of my pregnancy. But his reaction was explosive. "I don't want a child. You need to get an abortion now," he shouted, his eyes wild with rage. When I refused, he seized my neck, cutting off my cries. Dazed, I collapsed on the floor as he stormed out. In that moment, a fire ignited within me. I would get my revenge, and he had no idea what was coming. My name is Lily, and I want to share my story. A story filled with hope, despair, and ultimately empowerment. It all started when I was 29 years old, living in Austin, Texas, and working at an IT company. Life felt promising as I was ambitious and passionate about my career. That's when I met Marcus, my boss. He was 33, charismatic, and seemed to have it all together. I admired him, and he quickly became my mentor. At first, everything felt perfect. Marcus was kind and encouraging, always offering me opportunities to grow within the company. He made me feel valued and special. After a few months of working closely together, our relationship blossomed into a romantic one. I felt like I had finally found my soulmate, someone who truly understood me. Our dinners turned into long conversations about our dreams and aspirations, and soon we were inseparable. When Marcus proposed, I was over the moon. I believed we were meant to be together, and I said yes, without a second thought. We had a beautiful wedding, and I felt like the luckiest woman in the world. But soon after the honeymoon phase, reality began to sink in. Once we returned from our honeymoon, Marcus began to change. He expressed a desire for me to leave my job and focus on being a housewife. "I want you to be at home, taking care of our family," he said one evening while we were having dinner. I remember feeling confused. "But Marcus, I love my job. It's my career," I protested. "It's not that I don't want you to work, Lily," he replied, his voice calm but firm. "I just want to provide for you and give you a traditional life." I wanted to support him, so I agreed to leave my job, believing that he was looking out for us. I thought, this is what marriage is about, sacrifice and love. So, I traded my professional ambitions for a life focused on home and family. At first, I was excited. I decorated our home, cooked his favorite meals, and planned our future together. But soon I noticed Marcus's attitude shift. He became increasingly cold and dismissive. He rarely complimented me, and it felt like my contributions to our home were never acknowledged. Instead of being the supportive husband I had fallen in love with, he acted more like a boss, expecting me to cater to his every whim. One day, 3 months into our marriage, I felt a rush of excitement. I had missed my period and suspected that I might be pregnant. I rushed to the store, bought a test, and waited with bated breath. When the result confirmed my pregnancy, I was overjoyed. "I can't wait to tell Marcus," I thought, dreaming of how happy he would be. That evening, I prepared a special dinner, complete with candles and his favorite wine. When he came home, I couldn't contain my excitement. "Marcus, I have wonderful news," I said, beaming with joy. "I'm pregnant." His expression changed instantly. What I expected to be a moment of joy turned into a chilling silence. Finally, he exploded. "What do you mean you're pregnant?" "I don't want a child." His voice was filled with anger, and it took me by surprise. "Marcus, what are you saying? This is amazing news. We're going to be parents." I tried to reason with him, but he was relentless. I said, "I don't want a child. You need to get an abortion, Lily. Now." His voice rose, and fear gripped my heart. I had never seen this side of him before. I shook my head in disbelief. "I can't do that, Marcus. This is our baby. Why don't you want to be a father?" He stepped toward me, his eyes darkening with rage. "You're being selfish. This is all your fault." And then, in a shocking moment that felt surreal, he grabbed my neck with his hand, tightening his grip. I gasped for air, panic washing over me as darkness engulfed my vision. The next thing I remember is waking up on the floor, gasping for breath. My heart raced as I realized he had left the house, abandoning me in a state of fear and confusion. I sat up, my body shaking, not only from the physical pain but from the emotional turmoil. I felt utterly alone and frightened. I couldn't stay there. I needed to leave, to find safety. With shaky hands, I packed a few essentials and made my way to my father's house in Detroit. He was a successful CEO of a manufacturing company and had always been a steady support in my life. When I arrived at my father's house, he was shocked to see me. "Lily, what happened? You look pale," he exclaimed, rushing to my side. I recounted the horrifying events with Marcus, my voice trembling as I spoke. "I can't believe he would do that to you. You deserve so much better," my father said, his expression darkening. "I'm going to help you. We'll get to the bottom of this." That evening, as I sat with my father, he made a call to a private investigator. "I want to know what Marcus is really up to," he said firmly. I felt a mix of fear and hope as we prepared to uncover the truth. Little did I know that what we would discover would change everything. The man I once loved was hiding a dark secret, one that would not only shatter my heart, but ignite a fire within me. As I stared out the window, watching the rain fall, I felt a strange sense of resolve. I was determined to reclaim my life and find the strength I needed to face whatever came next. The road ahead was uncertain, but I knew I wouldn't be facing it alone anymore. I had to discover what Marcus was really hiding, and I was ready to fight back. The next few days felt like an eternity. I stayed with my father, James, trying to find comfort in his presence, but the thoughts of Marcus haunted me. I replayed the events leading up to my escape in my mind, questioning every moment. How could someone I loved turn into a monster so quickly? On the third day after my arrival, the private investigator my father hired called. "Lily, I have some information about your husband," he said, his voice steady but serious. I felt my heart race. "What did you find?" "We've been tracking his movements and talking to people at his workplace. There's something you need to know. He's having an affair with his secretary, Emma." His words felt like a slap in the face. I took a deep breath, struggling to absorb the shock. "An affair? How long has this been going on?" "From what we can tell, it started about a month after you got married. They've been seeing each other regularly, and it appears that they're involved in some questionable activities together," he explained. I clenched my fists, anger bubbling inside me. "What do you mean by questionable activities?" "There are rumors that they're involved in illegal business dealings, possibly something criminal. I can't confirm all the details yet, but I'll keep digging," he replied. "Thank you," I said, trying to remain calm, but inside, I was a whirlwind of emotions. Betrayal washed over me like a tidal wave. Not only had Marcus cheated on me, but he was also entangled in something dangerous. That evening, I sat down with my father to share what I had learned. "Dad, I can't believe it. Marcus is having an affair with Emma, and they might be involved in illegal activities." I felt tears welling up in my eyes, the weight of the betrayal crushing me. James looked furious. "That's unacceptable, Lily. We need to take action. You deserve justice for what he's done to you." I nodded, feeling a mixture of fear and determination. "I want a divorce, Dad. I can't let him get away with this." The next day, I made an appointment with a lawyer to discuss my options. As I walked into the law office, a sense of empowerment began to take root inside me. I was no longer the submissive wife. I was a woman ready to reclaim her life. The lawyer, Sarah, was kind and understanding. "I've heard your story, Lily. It sounds like you've been through a lot. We need to gather evidence of Marcus's infidelity and his illegal activities," she said, looking at me with concern. "I already have some information from a private investigator. He's been tracking Marcus, and we suspect he's involved in criminal dealings with his secretary," I explained. "Good. We can use that to build your case," Sarah replied. "I'll need you to provide any proof you have and keep a record of everything that's happened. It's time to take control of your life." I left the office feeling more resolute than ever. I was determined to gather evidence against Marcus, to expose his lies and take back my power. Over the following weeks, my father and I worked closely with Sarah and the investigator to build our case. We collected text messages, emails, and even surveillance footage of Marcus and Emma meeting at a hotel. Each piece of evidence felt like a victory, strengthening my resolve to confront Marcus. Meanwhile, Marcus had been trying to reach me. I received several calls and messages, but I ignored them all. I wasn't ready to face him yet. I knew he would try to manipulate me just like he always had. One evening, my father and I sat down to discuss our next steps. Lily, are you sure you're ready to confront him? He might react aggressively, James warned, concern etched on his face. I have to, Dad. I need him to know that I won't back down. I'm done being afraid, I said, my voice firm. The day of the confrontation arrived, and my heart raced as I prepared myself. I decided to meet Marcus at a local coffee shop, a neutral ground where I could feel somewhat safe. I dressed carefully, wanting to project confidence while hiding the fear churning in my stomach. As I walked into the cafe, I spotted him sitting at a table, looking surprisingly calm. He didn't notice me right away, and I took a moment to gather my thoughts. This was it. Lily, he exclaimed when he finally saw me. I've been trying to reach you. Can we talk? I took a deep breath, steeling myself. Yes, we need to talk. I know about you and Emma. His expression faltered, and for a brief moment, I saw a flicker of panic in his eyes. What are you talking about? He said, feigning innocence. I know about the affair, Marcus. And I know you're involved in illegal activities with her, I said, my voice steady. He leaned back, crossing his arms. You're being ridiculous. You can't believe that nonsense. I have proof, Marcus. I'm filing for divorce, and I'm going to expose you, I declared, feeling a surge of strength as I spoke the words I had rehearsed in my mind. His face turned red with anger. You think you can just walk away? You'll regret this, Lily. You have no idea what you're getting into. But I didn't back down. I know exactly what I'm doing. I'm taking control of my life, and you won't stop me, I replied defiantly. The confrontation left me shaken but empowered. I had faced the man who had abused me emotionally and physically, and I had stood my ground. I left the cafe with a sense of triumph, knowing that I was no longer a victim. I was ready to fight for my freedom and my future. As I drove home, my mind raced with thoughts of what lay ahead. I had uncovered the betrayal, and now it was time to seek justice. Little did I know that the road to reclaiming my life would lead to even more shocking revelations and a battle I never anticipated. After my confrontation with Marcus, I felt a mix of empowerment and anxiety. I had finally stood up to him, but I knew the battle was far from over. I spent the following days gathering more evidence and preparing for the legal fight ahead. My father was fully supportive, constantly reminding me of my strength and resilience. One evening, as I was sorting through the evidence we had collected, I received an unexpected call from the private investigator. Lily, I think you need to come to my office. I have something important to show you, he said, his tone grave. What is it? I asked, my heart racing. I can't discuss it over the phone. Just come in as soon as you can, he insisted. I felt a knot tighten in my stomach as I made my way to his office. As I drove, I couldn't help but wonder what shocking revelation awaited me. Had Marcus's criminal activities escalated? My mind swirled with questions. When I arrived, the investigator, Tom, greeted me with a serious expression. Thank you for coming. I'm sorry to have to do this, but I've uncovered something about Marcus that you need to know. He led me into his office and pulled out several documents. These are records of financial transactions linked to Marcus and Emma. It appears they've been laundering money through his company. They're involved in some serious illegal business. My heart sank as I read through the documents. This is worse than I thought, I whispered, the reality of Marcus's actions hitting me hard. I believe this could be crucial evidence for your case. If you're willing, we can take this to the authorities, Tom said, his eyes meeting mine. I nodded slowly, my determination returning. Yes, let's do it. I want him to pay for everything he's done to me. Tom helped me compile all the evidence we had against Marcus and Emma. We worked tirelessly, ensuring every detail was in place before approaching the authorities. With each passing day, I felt stronger, more empowered to take back my life. A week later, the day arrived. Tom and I met with a detective, presenting the evidence of Marcus's criminal activities. The detective listened intently, and I could see the gears turning in his mind. This is serious, he said. We'll need to investigate further, but I appreciate you bringing this to our attention. As I left the police station, I felt a mix of relief and apprehension. Would they really take action against Marcus? The thought of him facing the consequences of his actions sent chills down my spine, but I couldn't deny the thrill of justice creeping in. In the following days, I avoided Marcus's attempts to contact me. Each time my phone buzzed with a message from him, my heart raced with a mixture of anger and fear. He was likely trying to manipulate me again, just as he always had. I wasn't falling for it this time. Then came the day I had both dreaded and anticipated. The detective called me, his voice steady. "Lily, we've gathered enough evidence to move forward. We're going to bring Marcus in for questioning, along with Emma." My heart raced. What happens next? "We'll conduct a thorough investigation, and if everything checks out, they could face serious charges. You need to be prepared. This may get messy," he warned. "I'm ready," I replied, my voice firm. I had come too far to back down now. As I hung up, I felt a wave of relief, mixed with anticipation. Finally, I could see the light at the end of the tunnel. I had taken control of my life, and I was ready to fight for justice, not just for myself, but for everyone who had ever been silenced by fear. Little did I know, Marcus would not go down easily. He was cunning and manipulative, and I could sense that he was planning his next move. The suspense hung in the air as I prepared myself for the battle ahead. The showdown was imminent, and I had to be ready for whatever he might throw at me. The days leading up to Marcus's questioning felt like a blur of anxiety and determination. I stayed focused on the goal ahead: justice. My father and I worked together to prepare for whatever might come. He encouraged me to stay strong and not let fear dictate my actions. The day finally arrived when the detective called to inform me that Marcus and Emma would be brought in for questioning. My heart raced at the thought of facing Marcus again, but I knew this time would be different. I wasn't the scared woman he had pushed around anymore. I was ready to reclaim my power. "Are you sure you want to be there?" my father asked as we prepared to leave for the police station. "It might be difficult to see him." "I need to, Dad. I have to show him that I'm not afraid," I replied, my voice steady. As we arrived at the police station, a wave of emotions washed over me: fear, anger, and a fierce determination. The detective greeted us, his expression serious. "Lily, thank you for coming. Marcus and Emma are being brought in shortly." I nodded, my heart pounding. A few minutes later, I heard the door open, and there they were, Marcus looking smug, and Emma, her eyes darting nervously. The sight of them made my blood boil. "Lily, I can explain," Marcus said, his tone dripping with insincerity. "Save it, Marcus," I interrupted, feeling empowered. "You've done enough damage already." The detective led us into a conference room where the questioning would take place. I sat across from Marcus, my father standing behind me for support. I could see the anger and defiance in Marcus's eyes. He was trying to regain control, but it was too late. The detective began the questioning, laying out the evidence we had gathered. "Marcus, we have proof of your affair with Emma, as well as records of illegal financial activities linked to your company. How do you respond to these allegations?" Marcus shifted in his seat, his bravado faltering. "This is all a misunderstanding. I've been framed," he blustered, but I could see the cracks in his facade. "Framed? Really?" I leaned forward, meeting his gaze. "You're the one who made the choice to betray me and break the law. I won't let you manipulate the truth anymore." As the detective continued, Marcus became more defensive, his anger boiling over. "You think you can just ruin my life? You'll regret this, Lily," he shouted, his face contorted with rage. "Regret? I regret nothing," I replied, my voice unwavering. "I'm finally taking control of my life. You have no power over me anymore." Emma, who had been silent until now, looked terrified. "Marcus, maybe we should just tell them the truth," she stammered, glancing nervously at the detective.
"No."
"You're not saying anything." Marcus barked at her, but I could see the fear in his eyes. The walls were closing in on him. Finally, the detective leaned in. "Marcus, we have enough evidence to proceed with charges of fraud and conspiracy. It's only a matter of time before your actions catch up with you." As the detective prepared to end the questioning, I felt a surge of triumph. I had faced the man who had once controlled my life, and I had stood my ground. After the questioning, my father and I stepped outside the police station. "You did it, Lily. You were amazing in there," he said, pulling me into a tight hug. "I couldn't have done it without you, Dad." "Thank you for believing in me," I said, tears of relief streaming down my face. In the days that followed, Marcus and Emma were officially charged. The weight of his betrayal began to lift, and I felt a newfound sense of freedom. I returned to Detroit, ready to embrace my new life as a single mother. I welcomed my baby into the world with love and hope, knowing I had the strength to raise my child without fear. I had reclaimed my power and my future, determined to create a life filled with love and happiness. The journey had been painful, but it had taught me the importance of self-worth and resilience. I had turned betrayal into a catalyst for change, proving to myself that I was capable of overcoming even the darkest moments. As I held my baby close, I smiled, knowing that I was finally free. The past was behind me, and the future awaited, a future where I would thrive, unapologetically and fiercely, just like I always deserved.